Linhares, and I'm one of the lead therapists here at Always Connected. I will be discussing how to increase joint attention and requesting through play. I will start by identifying what play skills are, along with the different types, and then provide some examples on what they look like. I will then address what joint attention is and what it looks like through play. Then I will address what requesting looks like through play and how it can be different based on the learner's skills and abilities. I will then provide play-based strategies that incorporate joint attention and requesting. These are called parallel play, child-directed interaction, and teaching requests and labels. Then we will finish off with the value and importance of joint attention and requesting, as many skills can be naturally taught or strengthened through play. So let's talk about play skills. What are they? Play skills include skills that allow your child to imitate play with toys, engage in play with others, and using communication skills to request and label. Often children diagnosed with autism may have delays in particular play skills, such as functional play, meaning they are unable to play with the item as it was intended. They also may struggle with imaginative play or pretend play, such as playing house or playing school. Play skills can look like when your child plays with toys the way they are intended, such as rolling cars side to side, flat on the floor, instead of tapping cars upside down, or stacking blocks together instead of tapping them on the floor. Such as the little image here of the little child who's stacking his blocks. He is stacking them the way that they're intended to be played with. Play skills can also look like imitating pretend and imaginative play actions, such as pretending to be a chef at a pretend restaurant, or being a teacher at a pretend school. Play skills can also be when your child engages in cooperative play with peers, such as playing an organized game like tag or hide and seek. They are cooperatively playing a game that has rules and instructions that each of them follow. Play skills can also include social skills with peers, such as taking turns and negotiating amongst one another, like when they ask, "Can I have a turn?" or "When can it be my turn?" This can also look like requesting for items from one another, or activities such as, "Can I have the red car?" or "Can we play hide and seek?" Your child may also express comments and questions about the toys and activities they are engaged in to their peers, such as when they make comments about the game they're playing, which could sound like, "Oh wow, that tower's tall. Do we have any more blocks to stack on top?" This is also a form of social skills. All right, let's move on to joint attention. Joint attention is where two people share attention and interest about an object or event through verbalizations, gestures, or eye contact. Joint attention through play can look like when your child responds to others' joint attention directions. This is when a caregiver gazes and points at an object while stating a verbal exclamation, and the child then shifts their gaze from their object to their caregiver, and then back to their object. An example of this could be when you gaze and point at a tower that you and your child are building and say, "Wow, my tower is so tall." And your child looks in your direction and then towards the tower, or vice versa. There's no specific way for joint attention. It could be the learner looking at you and then looking at the tower, or looking at the tower and then you. So here are some pictures of some examples of what joint attention can look like. So in the first example, on the left-hand side, the children are looking toward both objects being played with, and also they are playing with together. So they have joint attention to the people they are engaged with and the items that they are both using. As you can see, they are engaging with their bodies oriented towards the people that they're engaging with, along with engaging physically with the items in front of them. In the second image here in the middle, here you can see the child as well as the adult are making eye contact with the craft that they are doing together. They have joint attention to the same activity. So joint attention doesn't always have to be the child orienting to you, but they could be orienting to an activity or an item with you, so together. And on the third example here on the right-hand side, here you can see the baby and their parents are all looking towards the same thing above them. So this is joint attention to something out in their environment. They all are looking and orienting towards one object or one activity in front of them. Now let's move on to the topic of requesting. Requesting is where a learner communicates with others by stating items, objects, and activities that they desire. This can be either vocally, gestured, or communicated through American Sign Language or picture exchange communication or communication devices. Requesting through play can look like when you and your child are stacking blocks and your child asks, "Can I have the blue block?" Or when your child and a peer are playing pretend kitchen and your child requests for a food item, pretending to order at a restaurant. Another example could be you inform your child that you need to leave the park for dinner, and your child says, "Can I play for 2 more minutes, please?" And also, requesting can look like when your child identifies a toy that is out of their reach or not available to them readily. They could request for those hard to reach or missing items. So maybe the toy is up on a high shelf and your child is asking, "Dad, can I have the board game that's up on the shelf?" Right? It's out of reach, so they can request for it. Now I will talk about some place-based strategies that you can use with your little ones to increase their opportunities to practice joint attention and requesting. First, we will talk about the play-based strategy called parallel play. So parallel play is where a child is playing next to another child or caregiver and is observing or mimicking the other person without direct interaction. So an example of this could be you and your child are playing next to each other, building your own towers with blocks. And as you stack your blocks together, your child starts to do the same with their blocks. So they watch how you interact with your tower and they try to imitate the same thing with their own tower. You're not playing and making one tower together. Instead, you're just beside each other playing with the same items. Other examples could include the images below. So on the left-hand side, you see the 2 children that are joining in on the same activity of painting, but are doing it on their own next to one another. So they could be looking at one another and kind of copying each other on what they're doing with the paint, whether it's what color they use or the way that they go on the page together. They have the joint attention to the same activity, but they're not really doing it together. They're just beside each other. And the other example on the right-hand side, the 2 children on the right are both creating their own creatures out of clay, but are not creating one together, but their own separate creatures next to one another. To incorporate joint attention teaching using the tower example, you could make comments about your tower, such as, "Wow, look at my really tall tower," while pointing at your tower. This may gain your child's attention and guide their gaze to you speaking, and then to you towards your tower that you're gesturing to, or vice versa. So after you make that comment, your child might be intrigued to then look at you or your tower and make that joint attention there. To incorporate request teaching, you can limit your child's selection of blocks near them to motivate them to then request for more blocks from you. You could also do the same with particular block colors or sizes, depending on the type of request you are teaching your child. You may want them to request with colors, such as, "Can I have the blue block?" or with size, such as, "Can I have the small block?" In the images here, we see that there is a child playing with the little doll in the car, and the caregiver is handing over the doll. So in this example, the caregiver could have been moving the doll around and making really exciting noises that motivated the little one to then ask, "Can I have the doll?" And then you see the caregiver handing over the doll there. And the bottom one here with the bubbles, the caregivers could be, providing bubbles to the little one and then stops providing bubbles to then see if the little one will then ask for bubbles. And then when they ask, they can then provide the bubbles there for them. Now let's talk about our second play-based strategy called child-directed interaction. So this is similar to parallel play, but the caregiver is providing descriptive verbal praise that are specific to the child's behavior. So this can be verbal praise expressing, "Nice job asking for your keyboard," or "Thanks for playing nicely with your toys." To incorporate joint attention teaching, you would continue to make comments about your play items or activity, such as the tower example, and after you state, "Wow, look at my really tall tower," while gesturing to your tower, you can provide your child with that descriptive praise once they have moved their gaze to your direction and then to your tower. Your praise could sound like, "Pretty tall. Nice job looking at the tower with me." That way, the learner knows that the behavior that you liked was the fact that they looked at the tower with you. So you're telling them they did a good job and letting them know what behavior or what response was it that was so positive that you liked. To incorporate request teaching, you can provide a similar descriptive praise when your child requests for the items or activities that you had limited by providing a statement such as, "Yes, of course you can have the blocks. Thanks for asking so nicely." In the image below, you could be racing the blue car all around the track, making exciting noises with the item, like, "Whoa, look how fast this truck is moving." And then your child may then ask, "Can I have the blue car?" And then you can say, "Sure thing, buddy. Thanks for asking." This provides praise to the successful responses that may in turn increase your child's joint attention and requesting behaviors. So as we praise them, they may be more inclined to use those requests and to then have those joint attention responses with you. For our next play-based strategy, I will explain how to teach requests and labels through play in a more direct manner. When parallel play and child-directed play has run smoothly with your child, you can try teaching requests and labels more specifically while also providing opportunity for joint attention practice. Here's an example using items. So you start with parallel play. You and your child are engaging with items together, side by side. And then you take turns so that your child can then request for the specific item. This can be as simple as stating, "My turn," and engaging in the item with the item on your own. So you and your child, maybe you're playing with a keyboard, and your child's playing with the keyboard, and you then remove the keyboard and say, "It's my turn," and you start playing with it. You can then label the item to your child while engaging with it, or when they try to access the item by grabbing, if they do not know what the item is called. So say you're holding the keyboard and playing with it, and your child is trying to grab it from you, but they're not verbally saying anything or requesting in any other form. You then say keyboard, and once your child says keyboard, you could then provide praise. So once your child has requested for the item, you can provide specific verbal praise, such as, "Thanks for asking for the ball so nicely," or "Way to go blank. Of course you can have the ball." So in the keyboard example, as soon as your child says keyboard, you can say, "Of course you can have the keyboard. Nice job asking." And then you then provide the item to them. This provides a more direct opportunity for your child to request and label the item through play that incorporates the verbal praise that may increase your child's requesting as a whole. So here's an example using actions. So you and your child are engaging in some tickle time. After providing some tickles and engaging with your child by laughing and smiling, you then stop providing tickles and wait a couple of seconds. You then label the action to them, such as tickles, and once your child states tickles back to you, you can provide your specific verbal praise, such as, "Wow, great job asking for tickles," or "Of course you can have some tickles. Thanks for asking." This provides a direct opportunity for your child to request for tickles because you are disengaging in the behavior to then entice them to ask for it again. And once again, the praise provided may increase your child's responding as they see it as a positive response from their caregiver once they did the request. So once your learner sees that, "Wow, mom really likes when I ask for things because she tells me, 'Nice job asking for whatever the item is,'" this may increase your child's responding as a whole because they want to engage in that positive response with you. You can always practice joint attention training by continuing to make those statements about the items being played with to motivate the eye gaze across the speaker and the items presented. This goes for actions as well. So when you engage with laughter and smiles through the actions your child enjoys, it may increase their chance of looking at you and making contact with you by attending to your positive and happy social interactions. So in the example of tickles, when you're providing those tickles to your little one and you're laughing and playing with them and smiling, that's gaining their attention, and it might make them look at you and have that joint attention with you as you're engaging in those tickles. This could also be with the bubbles example. Once you stop providing bubbles and your little one requests, you then provide your bubbles, and as you're providing your bubbles to them, you could be engaging like, "Wow, look at that big bubble," or "There's so many of them," and having them kind of get excited, and then they may have that joint attention towards you and the bubbles. Now let's finish off with our value outcomes and the importance behind incorporating joint attention and requesting through play. Here are a couple of the values of play skills. Once children learn to label common objects, actions, or people, it is also important to teach them how to answer questions about them. So when we practice requesting and we practice across different colors, features, or functions of items, we can enhance the child's discrimination skills. This can be when requesting for items that are red, or items that have wheels, or items that you can write with. So if you wanted a specific response that you're practicing with your little one, you may remove all of the items that are blue so that they can start requesting for the blue items if it's color specific. Social skills are also strengthened as learners develop an understanding of labeling. So as we label, social skills also increase. So it's actually really important when we start labeling our play and start saying, wow, look at this car, it's moving so fast. Because the learner might then pick up on those social skills that you're presenting. More advanced language becomes useful during play when engaging in complex sequence of play actions and pretend play narration. So labeling items or making comments about play may increase your child's communication and language. This also may increase imitation skills, leading to quicker development of social and communication skills. Your child views how you speak about actions through play, so slowly they pick up on it too. They then are able to engage in those play pretend activities and start describing what they are doing while playing, such as your child stating, I'm your doctor. How can I help you, Dad? And pretending to heal you in your pretend hospital game. So as we engage with our items and kind of describe how we're playing with them, our little ones also may do the same thing just because they've observed us play that way. The experience promotes generalization, meaning their skills are able to be used in multiple settings, such as home with family, school with peers, within their community. This type of learning through play can support learning by observation, and this is where your child is learning by observing how others play appropriately, such as the two children making objects out of Play-Doh. On the left-hand side here, one of them may have learned how to make things out of Play-Doh just by observing the other. Maybe one of them was rolling it into a ball, and the other one saw how he did it, so they started doing the same thing. This also could have been possible with the child playing with the xylophone with the adult. They could have learned how to make the sound by watching them push down on the keys. So as you show your little one how to press down on the keys, they may imitate you and try doing the same thing. This also may support skills as your child is attending skills as your child is engaging in play they enjoy and attending to play instructions. So this can be across all types of different play, such as outdoor parachute play, attending to blocks and building with them, or completing a craft with their peers all together at one table. So your attending skills may also increase as your child is engaging in those play and practicing the joint attention with you. And lastly, the experience is a positive one. Play is welcoming and positive, which creates natural access to preferred items and reinforcement. This type of engagement allows your child to lead. This capitalizes on their choice and creates natural motivation, which increases their willingness to participate. It is really crucial to increase motivation when teaching, as we want the child to want to attend and request with you. We want to make it worth their while by providing access to the items and activities they enjoy. So in a nutshell, the access becomes available on their terms. They attend and request in a natural play environment and get access to the things that they want. Thanks for listening to our Play Skills workshop, and here are the resources for your reference.